Right. We're excited to be here today with my dear friend Lori Schaefer. She's the CEO of Digital Wave Technology. Today, we will discuss the state of technology and more. We'll be specifically diving into the findings from our recently published report done in partnership with Digital Wave entitled AI and Unified Data. This word unified you're going to see is really a theme throughout, I think, the rest of 24 and into 25. And this idea about how it's empowering next generation product and shopper intelligence. A copy of this report will be made available in the event recording link and shared with all attendees. So you guys will all have a copy. It is truly an exciting time in the consumer industry. Whether you're a retailer, consumer brand, or healthcare company, really the transformative power of AI, Gen AI, predictive AI, right? We've got this kind of whole arsenal of opportunity to really change our businesses. And it's something that truly can't be ignored. Generative AI, hard and software applications alone are growing at a staggering rate, 49% in 2024, and a huge 57% in 2025 based on our estimates. We've seen discussions truly heat up across executive teams, boardrooms, investors, and have been part of many of these conversations around AI and innovation roadmap planning. We've developed an AI council community called the Coresight Council to discuss use cases, applications, guardrails, and more. And Digital Wave has been really an intricate part of that. Today marks a critical moment in time for innovation and advancement. And I think what we've seen is many of the kind of really the stalwarts in our industry have very strong points of view. And I think what's been so great about working with Lori and Digital Wave is how they're kind of taking all of these points of view and truly coming up with what's best for retailer brands, healthcare companies, and just I'd say consumer-facing businesses. So whether you're an organization just starting your AI strategic roadmap or one that's further along, it's really critical to think about the steps you're taking today and how that will impact your business in the future. AI and Gen AI can impact many facets of your organization and your business, from product concept design, supply chain, product experience management, marketing, inventory, and I can think about so many more, and how you integrate AI and other technologies within your organization is truly fundamental to your innovation roadmap. And this is something that we're starting to see, I'd say, come up in boardrooms that we're sitting in really in the last quarter in a different way than they have before, right? Budgets are being set aside, heads of AI are being, kind of determined, AI teams inside of organizations. And so the time is really kind of now, as I think many are looking into 2025 or leaning into what they believe their AI roadmap will be. Today, we'll discuss qualities of next generation technology platforms that support the integration of various AI and ML models, and how companies can unlock new efficiencies, deepen consumer relationships, and really position themselves ahead of competitors. Our report delves into the competitive advantages provided by modern and unified technology platforms. There's that word unified again, highlighting how AI and connected data can empower your future product and shopper intelligence strategies. We have the privilege of sitting down with seasoned executive Lori Schaefer to discuss how companies can set themselves up for future success by looking at their technology architecture, the role of data, and how that can solve key business problems. Lori, welcome to joining us today. This is fantastic to have you here, especially right now.
Deb, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank Coresight. I am really excited to be here. I think this is, in my long career, I have to say this is probably the most exciting time in terms of change, and change is happening everywhere. And certainly technology, unified platforms, AI, it's all coming together for the first time. And that is just allowing businesses to capture more and more benefits than they have ever been able to do before.
Yeah, and it's in the media a lot as well, much more than I've ever seen any technology. So I think going back to in organizations, you're getting it from the top down, right from the board, in terms of, right, what's our AI roadmap? What are we doing? And you're also getting it from, kind of those who are in the field who are seeing others who are gaining efficiencies, getting time back in their day, having better outcomes. And so I think that this kind of almost this compression, we're starting to really see retailers and brands and, like I said, consumer-facing companies that are looking to integrate this into their technology roadmap, which is really an AI roadmap. I'm sure you're seeing the same.
Absolutely. We have never been busier. It's
Which is great. What
exactly.
do you think some of the biggest challenges are as companies are not not only at the kind of beginning of should we do an AI roadmap, what about when they're trying to implement AI technology and, kind of look ahead to 2025?
Well, I think, you know, there's a number of challenges. And, I know our organization is working hard to help our customers with these challenges. Some of them are technical, some of them are not technical in nature. First of all, I think about data quality. And you've heard the term garbage in, garbage out. Whether it's numerical AI, as I call the more standard AI that's been out there for 20 some years, demand forecasting, optimization models, simulation, those sorts of AI, or whether it's generative AI that operates on text or videos or voice. It's imperative to first of all have clean data. That is something that a lot of companies still don't have. And so I think that needs to be focused on first. The second thing is unified data. And again, that term you'll hear because you need one place, one version of the truth to be able to get that data together. Companies are also, I think having challenges with talent and making sure that they have talent that understands what AI is and what AI isn't. And lastly, I would have to say that another big challenge that I know we are helping our customers with is a lack of understanding of what the ROI is going to be and where they should start in terms of, AI, any kind of AI solution or solutions, but really targeting on ROI, I think is critical. It's not about AI. It's not about generative AI. It's about ROI.
I like that. And what are you seeing, kind of, you and I, when we first heard about Digital Wave, we were talking about PIM, which I'd been involved in a PIM company that had been acquired. And so it was, something that was very apropos. And then kind of, more on PXM and then MDM. And I felt that, you were very, very practical and right, very much about right the data at the kind of very beginning of the journey. And then all of a sudden, right, you're, kind of 12, 24, 36 months ahead of what everybody else is talking about. And you really started this kind of Gen AI journey. What
Mhm.
led you to develop the platform, but also what did you see that maybe others didn't?
Big question. I will start with, first of all, what Digital Wave has is something we call our one platform. And we name it one because it's one um, version of the truth, one user interface, one data model, and one workflow that's very flexible across solutions, not just within solutions. Very unique platform. Right now, I will say there's nothing else like it on the market, and I think that's why companies that are forward thinking and want to future proof their business are interested in that sort of a platform. The way we got here, I wish I could say that it was perfect, but we did start out in product information management and master data management. Our backgrounds as a management team is, strong retail, consumer goods, wholesale, in terms of the expertise, but also strong AI backgrounds. And I spent a lot of time in merchandising systems, for example, inventory management, assortment optimization, pricing. And what I really was attracted to was that, here was an area, meaning master data management and PIM, that was boring. Uh, that was old, that was antiquated, that sat in IT for a long time and didn't really connect with anything. If I think of old master data management systems, I won't mention names, but that's what the reputation was. And then along comes COVID and digital, and suddenly the need for product information became critical for being able to enrich product content for the website. But when you step back and you think, okay, what do companies really need? It started to dawn on us that number one, um, the world is omni-channel. So whatever a platform is, we design needs to be for omni-channel. Secondly, we needed to look at the fact that PIM and master data for all the things that they do and other systems out there, they're, great systems, but none of them had AI. And I thought that was odd. And so we decided to say, look, you need a unified platform to be able to accomplish all the data and all the business processes in an omni-channel environment. And we should be able to use AI and then generative AI to be able to cleanse that data so that you have clean data going in, and then be able to apply AI and generative AI, and again, many different models, agnostic point of view, meaning not married to any one or two models or any one or two OpenAI, things like OpenAI or Google, use all of them, but be able to infuse that AI technology throughout different processes in the overall, not just PIM and MDM, but then other solutions that use that data. So that's how we started, and we designed an incredible architecture that, again, has that master data as its foundation, but that is an analytical big data type of model, has native AI and generative AI throughout. And then what the next step we started to see was, wow, this data is being used all over the organizations for practically every business process. So we developed a rapid development model, which means be able to build enterprise scale solutions right on that foundational MDM PIM type data model. And rapid means we're able to develop these best of breed solutions in about a tenth of the time of what it used to take. So that's kind of our journey. I will say that, a lot of companies start small, and they should, and other companies are coming to us and saying, let's look at our entire organization and how do we use this next generation type technology to get us, a step ahead for the next 10 to 15 years.
We've started to hear from some of the really big tech companies that they now have AI helping them develop new AI solutions.
Mhm.
How does that kind of ring true with what you're saying at Digital Wave? And do you think you're starting to see almost like a demarcation line where, companies like Digital Wave who are thinking about development in a different way, right? They're just setting them, right? The chasm is widening.
Absolutely. I mean, we were developing in a completely different way than could have been done 5 years ago. And I think, that's one of the unique things about technology is, and it's why many companies, you either change or die, because technology is changing faster than ever. And so getting that underpinning right for us meant starting from scratch and building a foundational architecture that companies could use again to future-proof their business for the next 10, 15 years. I think, we too are developing our own solutions using AI and generative AI on this platform, but then also letting our customers through what's called extensibility, meaning that the customers can actually go in. They've got this foundational data, one version of the truth, one workflow that they can use throughout different solutions. And we have customers actually building solutions on top of Digital Wave 1 as well.
Means you're also becoming a platform, right?
We are a platform. Yeah, absolutely. We have solutions. Um, you know, Product information management's a solution. Price optimization, assortment planning, financial planning, promotion plan, everything that retailers, brands, wholesalers need to run their business is the solution side of it. But again, all connected through a single platform and a single source of clean data.
And as you think about it, the benefits of kind of an extensible and configurable solution, how does this compare kind of today with maybe it's even just 5 or 10 years ago? How do you like who's involved in the organization? What are resources like? And I think the speed component seems to me to be one of the critical differentiations.
Okay, yes. So first of all, configuration and extensibility are two things that from a technical standpoint we focus on now. And what those two things mean for the business users out there who don't necessarily speak tech speak, configuration gets away from custom coding. And so the platform is very flexible, and we can configure it to basically mimic a uh, retailer, wholesaler, CPG company, whomever, their business process, and get as close as possible to their business process or the nuances of it. Yes, we bring we bring best practices, but at the same time, I don't care what does every single retailer say? We're unique. And every business has some nuances where they're unique. And configuration allows us to tailor that. But also, there's always a few things that are very unique, or we have customers, very large customers, for example, who they don't want the software company necessarily seeing all of their models and their some of their processes. And in those cases, we offer the customer the ability to, again, write code, write their own, and still be able to plug right into the platform. So that's extensibility, where you can extend the solutions or you can extend the platform. Configuration is more you can tailor it. You brought up, I think, something about speed. Was it speed to market or speed?
This speed in general, speed of development, right?
Yeah,
Not everything goes to market, but this idea around speed of development, and also, right, someone wakes up one day with an idea, right? Being able to see if it's actually marketable, not just that you can get it to market, right? This idea around speed of testing everything, and then upon that deciding if it's smart for your business to roll that out.
absolutely. Great. And I'm going to give I think a couple of examples of that. It's the best way to be able to process it. So we have one very large consumer goods company that is a customer, and built within our platform is a data science platform within the larger component platform that we offer. And that data science platform allows their data science team to work. They're working with us now. They can go off on their own, but right now they feel we've got some good ideas and data scientists ourselves. And we are very quickly doing rapid development of generative AI code, where we can then test it with the user sitting there as well as the data science team. And on the fly, they can see the differences in the business, the results, and then make a few changes, look at it again. And we're able to develop new applications in a matter of a few days from a prototype perspective. I don't want to paint that that's production ready, but the point of it is companies need to iterate now. They need to figure out exactly what they want. And this is allowing, again, this large CPG company, they want to be able to do different types of advertising, digital advertising. And we're able to quickly iterate that. And then they say, well, what about this? What about that? And then once it's what they expect, then we productionize it. And that even is a lot shorter time frame. We can productionize it in a matter of a few months versus what may have taken in the past, many months or several years. So that's more of that agility that I think all businesses need now, especially as they're embarking on AI, and especially generative AI, where it's new and they need to test it and they need to make sure it's secure and all those sorts of things that, it doesn't hallucinate, all those sorts of things that come with these new technologies.
Yeah, I think that, right, what we're seeing is this idea around experimentation and leaning a bit more in on this question, because I think it's really critical and important for people to understand the benefit of digital wave, is that, right, let's call it, we're holidays around the corner, right? And so this idea, right, people are like, oh, I've got all these ideas, right? We're seeing these things, but we'll think about that for holiday 25. This may be one of those holiday seasons you can actually, you still have time to put it into production and have the impact on your business this year. And I think that's the game changer. Can you talk about, right, the time to develop, experiment, and get things into market, and how that's changed, and how, right, going back to, it's all about the ROI.
Mhm.
How is that kind of coming to roost?
Okay, so that's a couple ways, I would say. There's this could be really, really big throughout an enterprise, and that's not going to be up by holiday. Be very blunt.
No.
That's a long process, and it involves senior executives, et cetera. But what we are having is a number of companies coming to us now with that same pain point you just mentioned, which is, look, I think of one grocer, and they're looking at their e-commerce and their overall omni-channel buy online, pick up in store. You look at the e-commerce, the product content is terrible. The attribution that people search on and use SEO for isn't there. And they're coming, and we are literally standing up, listening to the problem first, making sure that we understand what they're trying to achieve, and able to stand up the Gen AI technology, speak in their brand voice, make sure there's no hallucinations or anything like that in the data, allowing them to always, co-pilot, make sure that they are checking all the data, but automate. So they're getting thousands of product descriptions and new attributes up online so that customers can shop by holiday season. And, they're starting now, and literally we have 3 customers right now that I can think of that just started, and all 3 of them are trying to be done, up and running by November.
I mean, that's a real game changer as you think about the holiday season, and also the ability for, I feel like I've been using this word a lot as it relates to Gen AI, is this idea around control, where, right, you have a great idea, you would love to have it out by holiday season, and now you have the control really both internally and externally to make some of these things happen. And I think, one of the examples that a few people have brought up is, kind of with this, our CIO calls this like single source of truth, right? For your company data with, MDM as your baseline, that there are companies, I think like a Snowflake, that connects data, but solutions are separate,
Yes.
and they provide views and ways of slicing. But I'm not sure if that's what going forward, kind of this modern architecture, as we think about some of the benefits and, kind of modern workflow, how do you see that kind of evolving, and especially kind of powered by MDM?
Great question. And companies like Snowflake and Databricks and others, like that are modern architectures, and they're very, very good at what they do. And our customers often have them, one of those types of companies in as well for their overall business intelligence data bank, if you will. They're designed to do just that, to be a platform that you can run business intelligence on, including the AI and now generative AI functionality. Digital Wave is completely different in our approach. Our approach is more for the enterprise level business processes and the solutions that go with them. And that is what our one platform is designed to do. So starting with master data, clean data on both product, customer, location, what have you, starting with that, again, unified data model think of it as the ground floor if you're building a house, making sure that's clean data, making sure that we have that scalability and an analytical data model to be able to handle big data. Then being able to have AI and generative AI, again, throughout, where we can pull the appropriate models where necessary and even build more. And then what is fundamentally different than these other platforms that you referenced, Deb, is that our platform is designed for rapid enterprise application development. So the point of it is that we look at, most of the applications or solutions, if you will, that are out in the market right now. Most of them are dated. Some are very dated. And some of the largest companies that provide solutions they've done very well over time. Most of them, though, they acquired a number of different solutions and piece parts, and they never quite really work together, and they're dated. So we looked at it and said, that's where we want to focus. And by having this new technology and this platform, again, with that foundational unified data, master data, then we are able to, and we are rapidly building out solutions. We have many already, and we're building more, and we're focusing on certain industry verticals so that we can offer these solutions that are interconnected. And when I say interconnected, what I mean by that is you don't have to pull up price optimization. Say you're doing planning. So you start with the financial plan, you go over, you do an assortment plan. You want to do pricing. The way it's done today is then you have to pull up an application or solution that does price optimization. Oh, and your e-commerce team wants to update product content. Well, that's a different PIM application. And that's the way the world works today. And that's very inefficient. With Digital Wave, our solutions are all part of this platform where they're really not separate. And people look at me like, what do you mean they're not separate? They're just different views of the same data. And so we have, I think, one customer that right now, large enterprise, and they said, well, gosh, we want to use the attribute management that's over in, has traditionally been used over in product content, but we do our pricing by attributes. So we need to have our pricing system have auto attribution and computer visioning. Can you do that? And the answer is, well, of course we can, because we just pull this component and this component, and they're all linked together. Another example is a large fashion, high-end couture fashion company. I won't say who, but a retailer. And this company is literally going across the entire merchandising systems they have, and they've chosen Digital Wave to literally replace all of those different systems over time. But the point of it is, when they're in planning, they want to pull up the prices. They want to be able to optimize the prices within planning. They want to be able to look at promotion planning within assortment planning. They want to be able to look at the inventory and the allocation capabilities while they're still planning. And the point of it is that it all is connected. You don't have to keep opening different applications. The other thing is the workflow can be across different solutions. Extremely powerful. And with that, the efficiency gains, the ability for senior executives to look down and say, here's a bottleneck, here's a bottleneck, here's a bottleneck. How do we improve our processes? Can all be done very quickly and on the fly. So you have better efficiency gains, but you also have different ways to, again, turn the dials on profitability, margin, sales improvements, inventory control, all those things that had traditionally been separate silos, both within business processes and within IT. Game changing.
I mean, you brought up, I think, a sensitive topic right now as we're seeing all of these large tech companies throw mud at each other, which is oh so professional. But this, a lot of them, right, as you properly stated, they've grown through acquisition, right? Nothing's really knitted together because that way they can, you pay for A and B and C and D. And I don't know at this point, right, if you think about, right, the customer, they need something that is easy to understand, which I think Gen AI absolutely is. And they need to figure out something that they can implement quickly and focus on ROI. And to me, right, if I look at Digital Wave, it's like a next gen platform. And it goes back to some of these, e-commerce platforms where, if you were built 20 plus years ago, right, there's a lot that's stitched together and, there's things that you've broken and replaced, but ultimately it's not seamless. And so as a result, it's going to cost more. And so that's something that's been built in like the last 5 years, like a Digital Wave, right? It's just going to be built for purpose in a way that we're not seeing many of these large tech companies. And I think that's a really important point, Lori.
You bring up that's interesting because I was talking more about the business value, but the other thing is we're talking with our customers and prospects is what they are seeing, and we're helping them get visibility to is incredibly different model for total TCO, or total cost of ownership, in the IT organizations. And CIOs are, with Digital Wave, they're usually our best friends because we make their lives a lot easier and also less expensive. We have a number of companies that, again, starting small, maybe just over here, but they're recognizing, hey, when, the costs that we are paying right now for, business process and solution X is something that, I've been told by several CIOs that, in 2 years when that contract's up, we need to replace that with something a lot less expensive to maintain because they're spending millions of dollars on maintenance that in today's world with today's new technology and new platforms, you shouldn't have to do that.
Laura, it's tens of millions. That's or hundreds of millions. I
Yeah.
mean, that's actually, I think, the degree of difference.
Mhm.
And it also goes back to this lack of control. And I just think if we start to look at, right, you can look at the headlines, you can look at the bullets below them, but the challenges that a lot of, organizations are facing, and I think this goes back to where, certainly there's sometimes comfort in, right, we've always worked with this company, right, we're going to continue to work with this company, but I think the changes going back to this top down and bottoms up, right, in the boardroom, I mean, the ones that we sit in and the ones that we're invited to sit in, right? We're hearing a very different conversation than we've ever heard before. And I would say the level of sophistication of the boards around Gen AI is quite high because it's not ultimately that, I mean, the tech is of course complex, but to understand it, right? At even I'd say a fairly in-depth level is there's not a lot of complexity to it. And so we're seeing this kind of pressure kind of top down and bottom up. And I think as a result, right, Gen AI it's not a trending topic, it's the trending topic in the retail industry. And so as we think about, retailers and brands who you've mentioned and those beyond, what can they like, where do you tell them to start? Because I think that's the right, like getting over that, okay, we have all these great ideas. How do we get started? And especially if they like lay out everything in front of you, which I know they have, how do you help them just take off, like just take one bite of the apple as opposed to, kind of eating
Big
the whole
bang.
apple, which is
Yeah.
costly and takes too much time.
Right. Yes, there are. I mean, there's a few things, and you mentioned generative AI, and I do want to put a bigger box around it and say, generative AI is not appropriate for everything. AI is appropriate in some cases to optimize forecast, et cetera. Generative AI to be able to speed things up, and the ability to combine those with business process and solutioning is really what we believe is the key to all of this. To get started, I would say, first of all, really understanding data strategy. And what I mean by that is ensuring that, again, back to clean data, making sure that the company, for whatever they're starting on, and it should be small to start, make sure the data is clean. Make sure the data is unified, meaning that you're looking at the types of data. You're not having to pull it from 5 different places and you find out that one of those places has, I'll call it dirty data. So unified and clean data is critical. The second thing companies need to look at is talent and skill set. And I say that because, again, either work with an expert company that has it, but also, as larger corporations need to be able to hire within as well and really have that knowledge, both business knowledge of how to apply AI, as well as in some cases in the very large organizations, having a data science team that can work internally. It's hard to find that talent right now. And so from that standpoint, working with expertise is critical, but that talent search is something that companies at the board level really need to think about as well. So, again, data strategy, one, talent, two, and the third thing I guess I'd say is scalable infrastructure. And we see, Gen AI 2 years ago just the hype started and everybody was talking about it. But when you really look at how many people have implemented it so far, it's not that many over a 2-year time period. And the reason for that is because I think companies are recognizing they got to get their infrastructure right so that these models and these business processes can scale to very high levels for large organizations. So getting that basic infrastructure thought through and set, making sure that you have the right talent, and making sure there's a data strategy for clean and unified data would probably be my top three things to think about.
I mean, you bring up something I think that's so, it goes back to, right, especially many of the retailers we work with, right? They're running on legacy systems. And
Mhm.
right, they'll, you know, you kind of the data here that disagrees with data here. And the challenge is, right, it could take 20 months to get this unified data structure, to clean up their data. So what is your advice to those companies who are maybe a little bit behind on, how they're gonna use a CDP or whatever they're gonna do to kind of get their data cleaned up? What would you tell them to do today? And is there anything, because, right, I mean, hey, with my background, right, I always think about the Wall Street perspective, but they want to be able to have a story around, oh, we'll be able to do this in 24 months. That's not interesting. They've got to have, whether it's holiday 24 or spring of 25, what can they do today? How can Digital Wave help?
Mhm.
And how do they work on the messaging both internally and externally? I know it's a big question.
Sure. I think what I'm talking about is getting ready for a complete, there's going to have to be a complete transformation of business process and technology in large organizations over the next few years. I mean, it's happening that fast. And so what I'm talking about is making sure you're ready for that large transformation. However, to your point, Wall Street, um, any public company, they need to see results now. And so companies need to be doing that legwork in the background that I just talked about. And at the same time, as you brought up holiday or, what is the next thing for the next quarter or the next 2 quarters? That's where I would say, and I would say that, work with experts. Obviously I'm a little biased about our own company. I mean, our company or other companies out there that are experts in AI and generative AI around business process and look at a pain point from an ROI perspective, or a efficiency perspective, just one area, and say how do we get this solved in a matter of you know 2 months, 60 days. um I think that's very doable. You have to just stay to a small scale, and we can develop, iterate, and implement in that kind of time frame. And I think that combination is what companies need to be doing. So focus on quick results over here and strategic, where are we going to be over the next 10 years over here.
Yeah, I mean, we just met with a private fund company, and it was amazing. First of all, the person who's leading all their innovation has been out of college for 3 years. That was my first, and I was like, you just don't normally see, the C-suite and trust all of their innovation and development in somebody who's got, a few years of in the workplace really kind of experience. But they absolutely made the right choice. And it was what they were able to accomplish in 6 months. And I said, how did you get everybody, right, like on board for this deadline? He's like, we had July sales, right? So literally last December is when they ideated it. He said they started on the roadmap in January, like mid-January. And he's like, we did not, like, we hit every deadline. And he said, first of all, everybody in the organ, and I think, and that's why I keep on bringing up Holly, because it's a deadline, right? And, if you miss this one,
Big
right, you've
deadlines.
got to wait a ways till the next one. And so I think you can get people kind of rallying around that. And, I think, Lori, where I want to kind of leave our conversation today is, what can Digital Wave do to help in the near, medium, and long term? And, how do you see kind of companies evolving in terms of how they're working with you? And what should we be looking at in the future that maybe we're not thinking about today?
Another loaded question. Okay, so to start, I would say again, in the very short term, pick one area, any area. How do we automate it? How do we get quick ROI? Very quick ROI. And that's what I just talked about before, something that there is a deadline. And I run the entire company on deadlines and customer deadlines, because customer deadlines force developers, by the way, to get things done too. And so number one is we work with customers on those very quick ideas. We're taking it from idea, iteration, implementation, and value in a matter of 30 to 60 days. We're very good at that. Midterm. Okay, now let's lay the foundation for a broader view where this can scale this one process perhaps, or multiple processes can scale up and not just have a few users, but many users or many categories, for example, across an enterprise. That's more midterm. I think of a number of customers we have today where they're saying, hey, okay, start here, 5 categories. That's it. That's all we're going to do for 3 months. Get it up. Easy. Then we're going to roll that out to 500 categories. So that's one example. Or we're going to start with a few users here, then we're going to roll it out to many. At the same time, we like a roadmap, and we like to work with the most senior executives in an organization to ensure that they understand the entire um, uh, the entire potential of what this could be with unified data across multiple processes over 1 to 2 year period. We are completely transforming several organizations right now, both of them over $100 billion in terms of their core processes, and we're doing it all in 18 months. And it's hard,
Wow.
but that is enterprise. So again, starting with a iterate, proof point, and then roll out to more categories, more users, whatever, and then start rolling out different business processes and solutions so that it's all unified.
Laura, it's amazing what you've built. I remember when you first talked about it, and it sounded amazing, and how you were able to transform, how you built a team. You've got, not only use cases of people who've kind of worked with Digital Wave and are seeing huge changes in their business and ROI, but the current kind of, if you will, dock of customers who really are trying to say what a game changer it's been to work with Digital Wave. First of all, I'm proud to call you a friend, and I'm really impressed to
Likewise.
see as an executive what you've been able to accomplish. So congratulations. And everyone, as Lori's been a dear friend of mine for many moons, I think she is able to take the complex and simplify it. And I think she's great in boardrooms. I also think that she's very practical, not only in terms of what she looks to do first for an organization, but also as she's thinking about, budgeting and where to spend. Because Laura, I think you've always been driven by ROI, both at your own company and at others. And that is truly, I think, your North Star and how you differentiate everything you do. And I'm really amazed at what you've been able to build.
Wow, thank you so much for the compliment, because I we are just at the beginning, and I'm looking up at that summit and saying we have such a long way to go. We still have much more we have to do. We are here and we've got to get to here. And so I guess you're right. Sometimes you do have to look down and say, hey, I've climbed this much of the mountain so far. Maybe I'm a tenth of the way there. And that summit's now, 1/10 closer. But thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate it.